Lisa Bennett stood at the massive window of the transport ship, watching as the Helios 7 space station grew larger against the backdrop of stars. After 15 years as a trauma surgeon in Chicago, she never imagined she would be one of the first human doctors to work in an alien hospital. The silver rings of the station spun slowly, creating artificial gravity for the thousands of beings who lived and worked there. She touched the small earth pin on her white coat, a habit she had developed during a long journey from home. The Galactic Central Hospital had accepted only 3 human doctors into their program, and Lisa still wondered if they had made a mistake choosing her. Her hands had saved hundreds of lives on Earth, but would those same skills matter among species she had never seen before? The transport ship docked smoothly, and Lisa followed the other passengers, a mix of different alien species, through the airlock. A tall, blue-skinned being waited for her, holding a datapad with her name displayed in multiple languages. Dr. Bennett of Earth, welcome to Helios 7. I am Dr. Zaxtel, Chief of Xenobiology, he said in perfect English. His 4 eyes blinked in different patterns as he spoke, and the slight movements of his head crest suggested curiosity or perhaps amusement. Thank you for having me, Dr. Zaxtel, Lisa replied, gripping her medical bag tighter. The weight of her old surgical tools inside gave her comfort, even though she knew the hospital would have much more advanced equipment. They walked through wide corridors filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in containment fields, others crawled along the walls, and many walked on varying numbers of legs. The air smelled clean but strange, filtered through dozens of different atmospheric systems to accommodate all life forms. Your species is quite new to galactic medicine, Dr. Zaxtel said as they entered the hospital wing. I have reviewed your Earth medical journals. Your methods are... He paused, searching for a diplomatic word. Interesting. Lisa noticed the slight tone of superiority in his voice. She had expected this. Humans were the newest members of the galactic medical community, after all. We may be new to galactic medicine, but we have centuries of experience healing our own kind, she said firmly. Dr. Zaxtel led her into a large room filled with floating screens and strange equipment. This will be your orientation space. You must learn our standard procedures before interacting with patients. We cannot risk. He gestured at her hands. Primitive techniques causing harm. Lisa took a deep breath, controlling her reaction to the word primitive. She had dealt with doubtful colleagues before. I look forward to learning your methods, Doctor, and perhaps sharing some of ours as well. The alien doctor made a sound that might have been a laugh. Your species still relies on natural healing processes. You let bodies repair themselves instead of using proper molecular reconstruction. It's fascinating that you've survived this long. Rather than argue, Lisa turned to one of the floating screens. Perhaps you could show me how your molecular reconstruction works. I'm particularly interested in how it adapts to different species. Dr. Zaxtel seemed pleased by her interest. He began explaining the complex systems, his 4 eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. Lisa listened carefully, absorbing everything while noting details that seemed inefficient or unnecessarily complex. She had learned long ago that sometimes the best way to prove yourself was to understand others first. As the orientation continued, more alien medical staff entered the room, some clearly there just to look at the human doctor. Lisa stood straight and confident, remembering her years in Chicago's busiest emergency room. She might be new to galactic medicine, but she was no beginner at saving lives. Tomorrow, you will observe only, Dr. Zaxtel instructed as the orientation ended. Once we feel you understand our methods, perhaps you can assist with simple procedures. Lisa nodded politely, already planning how to prove her worth. She hadn't come across the galaxy to be a passive observer. Somewhere in this vast hospital, she would find a way to show them that human medicine and human healing deserved respect. She looked out another window at the endless stars beyond the station. Somewhere out there, humanity's place in galactic medicine waited to be proven. Lisa smiled slightly, knowing that sooner or later she would get her chance. She just hoped she would be ready when it came. 3 weeks into her stay at Galactic Central Hospital, Lisa Bennett had learned to navigate both the complex halls and the even more complex politics of alien medicine. She had watched countless procedures, each more fascinating than the last, but she still wasn't allowed to treat patients. That changed on the day of the mining accident. The emergency alert filled the hospital with a deep, pulsing tone that seemed to vibrate through every surface. Lisa rushed to the emergency department alongside other medical staff, her heart racing with familiar anticipation. A mining ship had suffered a catastrophic equipment failure, and casualties were incoming. The first patients arrived in floating medical pods. Lisa watched as the alien doctors efficiently sorted them by species and injury type. Then she saw him, a human being among the injured. Paul Martinez lay unconscious in one of the pods, his mining uniform torn and stained with blood. "Dr. Bennett," Dr. Zaxtol called out, "your presence is required here, but only to provide information about human physiology." Lisa ran to the pod, her medical scanner already in hand. Multiple internal injuries, possible organ damage, severe blood loss, she reported, falling back on her Earth training. "He needs immediate surgery." Dr. Zaxtol waved two of his upper appendages dismissively. "We will use standard galactic protocols. The molecular reconstructor will repair the damage." "His injuries are too severe for that," Lisa argued, checking Paul's vital signs. "Human bodies don't respond well to molecular reconstruction when there's this much trauma. We need to stabilize him first and let his natural healing processes begin." The alien doctor made that laughing sound again. "Natural healing. You suggest we wait for his primitive biological functions to repair this damage. He would expire before any meaningful recovery could begin." Other alien medical staff gathered around, their various sensory organs focused on the debate. Lisa stood her ground. "Human bodies are different. We have highly efficient repair mechanisms, but they need the right support. The reconstructor could overwhelm his system." "Impossible," Dr. Zaxtol said. "The reconstructor works on all known species. Observe." He moved to activate the device. Lisa stepped between him and the patient. "All known species except humans. We haven't been properly tested with this technology. Please, let me use human medical protocols." "Your protocols are outdated and dangerous," Dr. Zaxtol said. His head crest flared with annoyance. "Step aside, Dr. Bennett. I will not risk a patient's life on your species' superstitions about natural healing." Lisa looked at Paul's pale face. His vital signs were getting weaker. She had to make a choice: follow orders or fight for what she knew was right. She thought of all the trauma cases she had handled on Earth, all the patients who had survived against the odds because their bodies knew how to heal. "Dr. Zaxtol," she said firmly, "I respect your experience, but you're about to make a serious mistake. Human bodies can survive incredible trauma if given the right support. We've evolved over millions of years to repair ourselves. The reconstructor could interfere with that process." The alien doctor's 4 eyes narrowed. "You claim your primitive evolution is superior to our medical technology. This is precisely why humans are not ready for advanced galactic medicine." Paul's vital signs dropped further. Lisa knew she had only moments to act. "I'm not claiming superiority," she said quickly. "I'm stating a medical fact about my species. Please, let me show you. If I'm wrong, you can report me to the medical board." Other doctors were treating the alien miners, but many still watched the confrontation. Dr. Zaxtol's head crest rippled with conflicting colors. He was bound by his oath to provide the best care possible, but everything he knew told him human medicine was primitive and dangerous. "You have 1 minute to prove your approach has merit," he said finally. "After that, we do this my way." Lisa immediately began working, her hand steady despite the pressure. She had 60 seconds to save not just Paul's life, but possibly the future of human medicine in the galaxy. As she started emergency procedures, she silently thanked every patient who had ever helped her learn what the human body could truly survive. She would need all that knowledge now. Lisa's hands moved with practiced speed as she worked on Paul Martinez. The alien medical staff watched in a mixture of curiosity and concern as she used what they considered outdated techniques. Dr. Zaxtel stood nearby, all four eyes fixed on her every move, his head crest showing swirls of blue and green that Lisa had learned meant deep skepticism. "First, we need to stop the internal bleeding," Lisa explained as she worked. "Human blood carries oxygen to our cells. Without it, the natural healing process can't begin." She used a modern Earth-made medical tool from her bag, one that looked simple compared to the alien technology around her. "Primitive," Dr. Zaxtel said. The molecular reconstructor could seal all damage instantly. Lisa shook her head as she continued working. "But it wouldn't understand how human blood vessels need to heal. Our blood vessels don't just carry oxygen. They're part of our immune system. They help fight infection and repair damage." A younger alien doctor moved closer, their crystalline body structure catching the light. "But how can such a simple system work?" "There's no programming, no artificial repair mechanisms." "That's exactly why it works," Lisa said, her fingers steady as she sealed another bleeding vessel. "Human bodies develop these repair systems over millions of years. Each cell knows exactly what to do. We just need to give them the right conditions." Paul's vital signs began to stabilize, but remained weak. Lisa knew she had to explain more to keep control of his treatment. "Look at these readings," she said, pointing to the medical scanner. "His white blood cell count is already increasing. His body is preparing to fight infection and repair tissue." Dr. Zaxtel made a dismissive gesture. "A basic immune response. All species have this." "But human immune responses are different," Lisa insisted. "We don't just fight infection. Our immune system helps rebuild damaged tissue. It's why humans can recover from injuries that would kill other species." The crystalline doctor moved even closer, their structure vibrating with interest. "Is this why humans survive in such varied environments on their planet?" "Exactly," Lisa said, grateful for the support. "Our bodies adapt. Right now, Paul's body is adapting to the trauma. Every system is working together to keep him alive." She pointed to another reading. "See these stress hormones. They're not just a panic response. They're preparing his body for healing. They direct energy where it's needed most, increase blood flow to vital organs, and trigger repair mechanisms." Dr. Zaxtel's head crest showed patches of yellow, a sign of reluctant interest. "Your species relies on chemical signals for healing." "How imprecise?" "Imprecise but effective," Lisa replied. "These chemical signals evolved specifically for human biology. They know exactly what our cells need." She adjusted Paul's treatment, carefully balancing medications to support his natural healing processes. "The molecular reconstructor would be faster," Dr. Zaxtel said, but his tone had changed slightly. "Faster isn't always better," Lisa said softly. "Human healing might be slower, but it's more thorough. Each step builds on the last. Skip those steps, and the healing isn't complete." The medical scanner showed more improvements in Paul's condition. His vital signs were stronger, and his body's natural responses were working exactly as Lisa had predicted. She could see the alien doctors exchanging glances, their various forms of expression showing growing interest. "There's something beautiful about this process," the crystalline doctor said. "Each system supporting the others, all working together without external control." Lisa smiled slightly as she finished another treatment. "That's the key. It's all connected. Human healing isn't just about fixing damage. It's about letting the body remember how to be whole." Dr. Zaxtel moved closer to study the readings. His head crest now showed streaks of white, a color Lisa hadn't seen before. "You have your additional time, Dr. Bennett," he said finally. "But we will monitor every aspect of this treatment. If anything suggests failure." "It won't fail," Lisa said firmly, checking Paul's vital signs again. "Human bodies know how to heal. Sometimes we doctors just need to trust in 4 billion years of evolution." She settled in for a long shift, knowing the next few hours would be crucial, not just for Paul, but for proving that human medicine deserved its place among the stars. 6 hours into Paul's treatment, things took a turn for the worse. His fever spiked, and the medical monitors filled the room with urgent beeping sounds. Dr. Zaxtel rushed in, his head crest flaring bright red with alarm. "His temperature is dangerously high," the alien doctor said, all 4 eyes fixed on the readings. "The molecular reconstructor would have prevented this. Your primitive methods are failing." Lisa checked the monitors carefully, her face serious but calm. "This isn't failure. It's part of the healing process. Human bodies often spike a fever when fighting severe trauma." "Fighting? You mean his body is attacking itself?" The crystalline doctor from earlier shifted colors in distress. "No," Lisa said firmly. "The fever helps kill harmful bacteria and speeds up our healing response. It's like a natural defense system." She adjusted Paul's medication slightly, supporting but not stopping the fever. Dr. Zaxtel moved to the molecular reconstructor controls. "This has gone far enough. We must intervene with proper medical technology." "Wait." Lisa stepped between him and the controls. "Let me show you something." She pulled up Paul's latest scan results on the floating screen. "Look at the tissue around his injuries. New cells are already forming. The fever is helping this process." Several alien doctors gathered around the screen. They watched in surprise as the scans showed human cells actively repairing damage. The crystalline doctor vibrated with excitement. "The cells are multiplying and organizing themselves, without any external programming." "Exactly," Lisa said. "Human bodies know how to rebuild. The fever speeds up all these processes." She pointed to different areas of the scan. "Look here and here. Blood vessels are regrowing. New tissue is forming. It's all happening naturally." "Natural is not always better," Dr. Zaxtal insisted, but he didn't move toward the reconstructor. "What if the fever damages his brain?" "Human brains can handle higher temperatures during healing," Lisa explained. "We evolved this way. Our bodies know the limits." She showed them more readings. "See, his brain activity is normal. The fever is controlled." A new alarm sounded. Paul's blood pressure was dropping. Dr. Zaxtal's head crest turned deep purple. "His system is crashing. We must use the reconstructor now." Lisa checked all the readings quickly, her mind racing through years of emergency room experience. "No, his blood pressure is dropping because his blood vessels are expanding. It's part of the fever response. Watch." The room grew tense as they waited. Alien doctors of various species crowded around the monitors, some taking notes, others discussing quietly in their own languages. Lisa kept her eyes fixed on Paul's vital signs, silently willing them to prove her right. Slowly, the readings began to stabilize. Paul's blood pressure found a new balance. The fever continued but didn't rise further. Most importantly, the tissue scans showed steady healing progress. "Remarkable," the crystalline doctor said. "The systems work together in perfect harmony. No external control needed." Dr. Zaxtel studied the readings silently, his head crest showing swirls of yellow and white. "I have never seen anything like this," he admitted finally. "But he is not healed yet. There is still much that could go wrong." "Yes," Lisa agreed. "Healing takes time. But look at how far he's come in just 6 hours. A human body can repair damage that would kill many other species." She showed them another scan. The original injury should have been fatal. But his systems are adapting, repairing, rebuilding. All we need to do is support the process. "And if it fails?" Dr. Zaxtal asked quietly. Lisa straightened her shoulders. "Then I take full responsibility. But I know human biology. Paul is young and healthy. His body knows how to heal. We just need to trust the process." The alien doctors continued to watch and take notes as Paul's healing continued. Lisa knew the next few hours would be critical. She had won this battle, but the real test was still ahead. Everything she had claimed about human healing would need to prove true. She looked at Paul's peaceful face, seeing the first signs of natural color returning. "Keep fighting," she whispered. "Show them what humans can do." The next 24 hours brought a steady stream of alien medical students and doctors to observe Paul's treatment. They watched in fascination as his body continued its natural healing process. Lisa stayed by his side, explaining each development to her curious audience. "Look at these new scans," she said, pointing to the floating display. The crystalline doctor, who had introduced themselves as Dr. Zyra, leaned in closer. "The damaged tissue is being replaced with healthy new cells. No artificial programming needed." Dr. Zaxtel stood at the back of the room, his head crest showing a mix of colors that suggested deep thought. "The speed of recovery is unexpected," he admitted. "But how can you be certain the new tissue will function properly?" Lisa pulled up a series of images taken over the past day. "Because human healing doesn't just replace tissue, it rebuilds it. See how the new blood vessels are forming. They're growing in patterns that match the original tissue." A student with 6 eyes and scaled skin raised an appendage. "But without molecular guidance, how do the cells know where to go?" "Our bodies carry a complete blueprint in every cell," Lisa explained. "When injury occurs, the surrounding tissue releases chemical signals. These tell the cells exactly what to build and where to put it." She showed them another scan. "Look at the muscle tissue here. It's not just growing randomly. It's forming along the same lines as the original muscle. The cells remember their proper place and function." Dr. Zura's crystalline form sparkled with excitement, like a living computer that can repair itself. "In a way," Lisa said, smiling, "but more flexible than any computer. Human healing can adapt to different types of damage. The body figures out what it needs and creates it." Paul stirred slightly in his bed, and all the alien observers moved back in surprise. Lisa checked his vital signs quickly. "His consciousness is returning right on schedule. This is another good sign." "Schedule?" Dr. Zaxtel moved forward. "You can predict these responses." Lisa nodded. "Human healing follows patterns we've studied for centuries. Different injuries have different healing timelines. Knowing these helps us support the process better." She adjusted Paul's medication slightly. "For example, we know that consciousness usually returns when the body's healing systems reach a certain point. It means his brain is satisfied that the critical repairs are done." The scaled student took rapid notes. "The brain controls the healing schedule." "It's more like the brain and body work together," Lisa explained. "Every system communicates constantly. They speed up or slow down the healing process as needed." Dr. Zaxtel studied the latest readings carefully. His head crest now showed more white than blue. A sign Lisa had learned meant growing acceptance. "The efficiency is remarkable. No energy wasted, no resources misused. That's what makes human healing so effective," Lisa said. "Our bodies learn to be efficient through millions of years of evolution. Every reaction serves a purpose." As if to prove her point, new readings appeared on the monitor. They showed Paul's organs working together more strongly, his immune system perfectly balanced between fighting infection and supporting repair. "I would like to document this process in detail," Dr. Zura said suddenly. "With your permission, Dr. Bennett. Other medical staff should learn about this." Lisa felt a warm sense of pride. Of course, human medicine has a lot to teach about working with natural healing processes instead of replacing them. She looked around at the fascinated faces of the alien medical staff. Where once she had seen doubt and dismissal, now she saw genuine interest and curiosity. Even Dr. Zaxtel's usual skepticism had been replaced by thoughtful attention. Paul's vital signs continued to improve steadily. Each beep of the monitor, each new scan, proved what Lisa had claimed about human biology. Their bodies weren't primitive. They were marvels of natural engineering, perfected over millions of years of survival. 3 days after the mining accident, Paul Martinez opened his eyes. The room fell silent as he looked around, blinking at the strange faces of the alien medical staff. Lisa stepped forward, giving him a reassuring smile. "Welcome back," she said softly. You're at Galactic Central Hospital. There was an accident at the mine, but you're recovering well. Paul tried to speak, then cleared his throat. The others? He asked, his voice rough but clear. All surviving miners are stable, Lisa assured him. You had the most severe injuries. Dr. Zaxtel moved closer, his medical scanner humming. Remarkable. Full consciousness, clear speech, and immediate concern for others. The trauma should have caused more mental impact. Human brains are well protected by our healing systems, Lisa explained. She turned back to Paul. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a transport ship, Paul said with a weak smile. But I'm alive. The alien doctors murmured among themselves, their various communication methods creating an odd mixture of sounds, lights, and movements. Dr. Zyra's crystalline form sparkled with excitement as they recorded new readings. The patient's neural patterns show complete integration, they announced. No sign of disconnect between old and new tissue. The natural healing has created perfect connections. Dr. Zaxtel ran his own scans, all 4 eyes focused intently on the results. These readings cannot be correct, he said. The level of tissue repair in 3 days. It should be impossible. Lisa pulled up the complete medical record on the floating screen. Let me show you the progression. Each stage of healing followed natural human patterns. The only difference is that we let his body do the work instead of forcing it with technology. The screen filled with images showing Paul's recovery. The alien doctors gathered around, watching as 3 days of healing played out before them. They saw damaged tissue repair itself, blood vessels regrow, and organs return to normal function. The molecular reconstructor would have been faster, Dr. Zaxtel said, but his tone had changed completely. His head crest now showed swirls of white and gold, colors of amazement and respect. Faster, yes, Lisa agreed, but look at the quality of healing. She zoomed in on several areas. Each repair is perfect because the body knew exactly what to build. No programming could match this precision. Paul watched them discuss his recovery with a mixture of confusion and pride. Are you saying I just set some kind of record? You've helped prove something important, Lisa told him. Your recovery is showing our alien colleagues what human bodies can do. Dr. Zaxtel ran the scans again, then a 3rd time. Each result showed the same thing. Healing that should have been impossible by galactic medical standards. His head crest rippled with new colors as he processed the evidence. I must inform the Galactic Medical Council, he said finally. This case changes our understanding of biological resilience. We have much to learn from human healing processes. The news spread quickly through the hospital. More doctors and researchers arrived to study the case. They brought their own scanning equipment, ran their own tests, and came to the same conclusion. Human natural healing had achieved what their advanced technology could not. Lisa watched as Paul answered questions from the curious medical staff. He had become living proof of humanity's unique biology. His heart beat strongly, his brain worked perfectly, and his recovered tissues showed no sign of the massive trauma they had suffered just days ago. Your body knew exactly what to do, she told him quietly. You just needed someone to trust in that. Dr. Zira approached with more scanning equipment. Dr. Bennett, the medical council wants complete documentation. They're calling this case unprecedented in galactic medical history. Lisa nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Human medicine had proven itself not by copying advanced alien technology, but by trusting in the power of natural healing. It wasn't primitive at all. It was simply different. And now everyone could see how remarkable that difference was. 1 month after the mining accident, the main conference room of Galactic Central Hospital was packed with medical professionals from across the galaxy. They had come to hear Dr. Zaxtel and Dr. Lisa Bennett present their findings on human biological resilience. Hal Martinez sat in the front row, fully recovered and ready to help demonstrate the results. Dr. Zaxtel stood at the center of the room, his head crest glowing with brilliant white and gold colors. My fellow medical practitioners, he began, 1 month ago, I believe human medicine was primitive. Today, I stand before you to admit I was wrong." The room filled with murmurs and various alien expressions of surprise. Dr. Zach Stahl was known for his strong opinions about advanced medical technology. Hearing him praise what he once called primitive was unprecedented. "Dr. Bennett," he continued, "showed us that sometimes the most advanced solution is the one that nature perfected over millions of years." He gestured to the floating screens around him, which displayed Paul's medical records. "Human healing abilities exceed our current understanding of biological repair." Lisa stepped forward to present the detailed findings. "Human bodies contain natural repair systems more sophisticated than any artificial process we currently use," she explained. "Each cell carries complete instructions for healing and can communicate with surrounding tissues to coordinate repairs." The screens showed videos of Paul's healing process. The audience watched in fascination as images revealed how his body had repaired severe internal injuries without artificial intervention. "But this is only the beginning," Lisa continued. "We believe studying human healing processes could help improve medical care for all species. Some of our natural repair mechanisms might be adapted to work with other biologies." Dr. Zura, whose crystal form now contained new research sensors, shared their observations. "The efficiency of human healing suggests new approaches to medical treatment. Instead of replacing natural processes, we could enhance them." Paul stood up to answer questions from the audience. Many alien doctors were amazed that he showed no signs of his near-fatal injuries. He moved easily, spoke clearly, and demonstrated perfect recovery of all functions. "How do you feel now?" one doctor asked him. "Better than ever," Paul replied with a smile. "My body knew what to do. The doctors just helped it do its job." Dr. Zach Stahl's head crest shifted to show deep blue, a color of profound respect. "This case has changed galactic medicine forever. We are establishing a new department dedicated to studying natural healing processes across all species, with Dr. Bennett as its head researcher." Lisa felt her heart swell with pride. She had done more than save one patient. She had opened new doors for medical science throughout the galaxy. Additionally, Dr. Zach Stahl announced, the Galactic Medical Council has revised its treatment protocols. All species will now be assessed for natural healing abilities before automatic application of molecular reconstruction technology. The audience responded with their various signs of approval. Some glowed, others hummed, and many changed colors or patterns. The crystalline doctors sparkled with excitement about the new research possibilities. After the presentation, Lisa found herself surrounded by doctors eager to learn more about human medicine. She saw genuine respect in their eyes, or whatever organs they used for seeing. No one called human healing primitive anymore. "Dr. Bennett," Dr. Zach Stahl said quietly as the crowd thinned, "I owe you an apology. I laughed at human biology because I did not understand it. You have taught us all a valuable lesson about respecting different forms of life." Lisa smiled warmly. "The best thing about science is that we never stop learning. Maybe next time humans will learn something amazing from your people's biology." As she looked around the room at her alien colleagues, Lisa realized how far they had all come. A mining accident had turned into a breakthrough that would benefit patients across the galaxy. Human medicine had earned its place among the stars not by copying advanced technology, but by showing the incredible power of natural healing. Paul caught her eye and gave her a thumbs up. He would always be living proof that sometimes the best medical technology wasn't technology at all. It was the amazing ability of life itself to heal, adapt, and survive.